This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, NIL Game Changers, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Happy Monday, everybody. Great to be with you today. And the opening half hour of the show here from the Sunbury Motor Studio, brought to you by NIL Game Changers, the ultimate destination for name, image, and likeness opportunities for both athletes and businesses. Visit NILGameChangers.org to start your journey. I deliberately picked NIL Game Changers to start the journey today because Livy Dunn's boyfriend pitched over the weekend. So, I believe, do we have everybody set here? There we go. All right. John Perrotto joins us. First of all, John, thanks so much for the time today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, Steve. Thanks for having me.
John, the last time, and this is going to show you how far back in life I go, that I remember a first overall choice pitching where it generated this much buzz, believe it or not, for me, goes all the way back to a kid by the name of David Clyde with the Texas Rangers, but he was only 18 at the time, not as developed in any way, shape, or form as Paul Skenes happens to be. I watched it. The crowd was electric. What was your thought witnessing what he did out there?
Well, it was really fun, Steve, to see, what would be just a normal run-of-the-mill Saturday game with the Cubs become a real event. And, I mean, there was certainly a buzz around the ballpark and, in the hours leading up to the game and when he went to warm up in the, in center field in the bullpen. And, I thought he pitched pretty well. I mean, it wasn't a dominant day, but he showed he struck out 7 guys in 4 innings and showed that he can throw 100 miles per hour consistently, has other good pitches. And, I thought on the whole, considering all the spotlight on him and everything, that it was a very good debut, and he left you knowing that there's a lot more there than the way he pitched on Saturday. He can be a lot better than that. So it'll be fun. But like you said, David Clyde, I know that's always a cautionary tale for people, but a little bit different here. They didn't rush him right to the big leagues, and David Clyde was a high school pitcher, and I know some people think maybe they rushed Skenes, but I think he's older than David Clyde was, and also spent 2 years at the Air Force Academy before transferring to LSU. And I think not only is he physically ready to pitch in the big leagues, but also mentally ready.
Well, I don't think they rushed him at all, to be honest with you. In fact, I advocated last year that they pick him first, because I feel if you're going to have a first-round pick, unless it's a high school player beyond belief like a Bryce Harper, whatever, you draft, especially a pitcher, you draft a college player, right, who's older, more stretched out, and I thought the Pirates handled it right.
I thought they did too. And, in fact, I kind of got a little impatient here the last couple of weeks when he kept, dominating AAA hitters, and his ERA ended up being 0.99 for 7 starts, and he had, I believe, 48 strikeouts in 27 innings. I think that's the totals. I don't have them right in front of me. I kept thinking, well, they should bring him up now. What does he have left to prove in AAA? But, you look back on it, and I do think they handled it just about right. And I'm really looking forward. I mean, we got enough taste of him on Saturday that, like I was saying, to see that there's more there. That, he pitched pretty well for a guy for the first time, but you can see that he could pitch a lot better, and it's going to be fun to watch him continue to develop into the type of pitcher that not only the Pirates, but a lot of people around baseball expect him to be, which is very, very good.
You know what I noticed, John, though? Right? Major league hitters who are special players, just like major league pitchers are. All right? There are a couple of pitches that in AAA he probably could get away with, and definitely at LSU he could get away with, especially at a couple of 2-strike counts where he couldn't get away with it, and they slapped it the other way. It's like you're in the majors now.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be part of it for him, and and he even admitted it after the game. He said some pitches I need to throw better up here. And exactly as you said, Steve. Like you said, he knew he could get away with it in AAA and the college level, and he'll learn from that. But it was funny a couple of times to see, to look on the monitor and the television monitor and look at the looks on the faces of some of the hitters. I know Seiya Suzuki, who has been over here in the States for 3 years and played in Japan for 7 or 8 and was one of the very best players in Japan. Yeah. I know when Skenes threw him a slider in his first at bat, you could see Suzuki's eyes sort of like rolling his head like, whoa, what was that? So, it was kind of fun to see, and it's really, when you see a veteran hitter like that react that way, you can tell the guy's pretty talented.
One thing, and I know this from now, it's a different time and a different group running the show, but the Pirates were here in State College for 6 years, and I remember they were just obsessed back then. Again, different time, different group, right, with pitch counts. Was Skenes stretched out enough how the Pirates treated him in the minors so that he could get here to this point and be a stretched out 6-7 inning product?
Yes. And I think that they still are obsessed with pitch counts, but I think that's actually a sport-wide trend now, probably even more than just a few years back when the Pirates had State College as their affiliate there in the New York Penn League. It just is the way baseball is now. But what I thought was encouraging the other day is he'd only thrown 75 pitches was his limit in AAA. Yes. They let him throw, I believe it was 84, either 82 or 84 before they took him out.
Yeah, I think it was 84, I think. Yeah.
84. So they let him go a little bit further, even though, they obviously would like to see him pitch more than 4+ innings with those 84 pitches. But I thought, they didn't rush to take him out too soon. I thought they let him, get a fair amount of work in, and I thought that was a good sign that they let him surpass 80 pitches. And I'm not saying the Governors are, totally be taken off of him now because he's in the big leagues. He's not, not going to throw 120, 130
sure.
pitches in a start. But I do think that he's at a point now where eventually he'll build up to where they'll let him go 100 pitches here, maybe 2 or 3 starts from now.
Okay, so that next start, by the way, is going to be against the Cubs again. How interested are you going to see how he reacts to pitching against the Cubs a second time and how the Cubs react to seeing him a second time?
It's going to be really interesting because usually, it's kind of weird the way the schedule breaks. They will face the same team twice, and it'll be most likely Friday in Chicago, Friday afternoon. I would think that the hitters will have I don't want to say an advantage might be too strong of a word, but I think obviously they'll have a little bit better idea now of what he throws and how he throws it and what, patterns he uses pitch-wise and things like that. But by the same token, he's had a chance to see their hitters, and he has a better idea of what works and what doesn't against big league hitters in general and then specific hitters in the Cubs lineup. So, it's always that cat and mouse game between pitchers and hitters that just goes on and on and on through the years as they keep facing each other. And it'll be fun. And, I don't know. I have a feeling that Paul Skenes will be better than he was the other day. I think now that he's gotten a chance to pitch in the big leagues and give at least somewhat of a feel for what it's like. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back and pitched better, even though it's the same hitters basically that he'll be facing on Friday. I just think that, everything from just a little bit I've been around him, a little bit I know, talking to people that know him better than I do. He's a very quick learner. He's a very sharp guy, and I think the mistakes he made on Saturday that he will really learn from.
Yeah, what's interesting is that the people who have been around him have said that he is not particularly hard on himself, but he's also realistic in evaluation. Is that what you've heard?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And, I've had a chance to talk to him a few times in spring training when I was there early. And, he just strikes you. Yeah, I think that's an accurate assessment of him from the little bit I've been around him. But, he strikes me as a guy who has a lot of confidence, but not in a cocky way, not in an unlikable way. I mean, but he knows that he's good. He understands, he's blessed with some great physical gifts. But he's also very humble, and he's very, very personable, and I can see why his teammates like him. There's no jealousy there because of the fact that, he got the $9 million plus signing bonus, and the publicity he gets not only from being a great pitcher, but also being, as you mentioned at the beginning, the celebrity relationship with Libby Dunn, the gymnast at LSU.
Sure.
But nobody holds it against him because he's a good guy. He's a very personable guy, and he's a very humble guy, and he just is somebody that, and again, I don't profess to know him greatly so far in his career, but the times I've been around him, I enjoy talking with him. He's just a very nice young man. He really is, and I can see why he's so popular with his teammates.
When he came up, John, at Air Force, he actually was originally a catcher, and he was also their closer. And did he ever talk about the perspective of a catcher and that it's helped him as a pitcher? Because I've talked to a couple of guys like David Carpenter and people like that who've been in the majors, who were catchers at one point and then transitioned over. They thought it helped him. Has he ever really talked about that, being a catcher originally and then becoming a pitcher?
That's something I really haven't had a chance to ask him yet, and it's something I would like to definitely hear sooner rather than later. But somebody did ask Yasmani Grandal, who caught Skenes on Saturday, the veteran catcher, did ask that same question, and he said, he can tell that he has catching in his background, that he can think through the game like a catcher thinks through it too. So I would imagine Skenes would say the same thing, but I know Yasmani Grandal, who has only caught him a couple of times, once in Indianapolis and then once, here in Pittsburgh on Saturday. He indeed said that, he could see how that had rubbed off on Skenes the years as a catcher, as an amateur player.
That's one thing. At Air Force, he was a fastball changeup guy. Now, of course, in the SEC, that is going to get you pummeled if that's the only two that you have. But with the split and really the slider, the spinner for him, what do you think that meant to what you saw on Saturday and seeing him pitch in person?
Well, I think it gives him so many weapons now that, when the hitter steps in the batter's box, they're not going to know what to expect, because he has, not only are they good pitches, but he has the confidence to throw any of them at any count. So it's not like you're going to go up there if you're, like Cody Bellinger, the second time you see him and go, well, he's going to start me off of a fastball this time. I know it. Well, he might start you off of a fastball, but he might start you off of a slider. He might start you off of, they call it the splinker, the half split finger, half sinker. And, he might start you off with a curveball or a changeup, because he has the confidence to throw any of those pitches. So, I think that certainly works to his advantage, where, he won't be nearly as predictable for hitters when he can have the confidence to throw that many pitches at any point in the count.
And let's face it, Johan Duran of the Twins, I think, is the only one of the majors that throws a splinker. So, to my knowledge, I think he's the only other one that does. Duran, who's obviously done great with it, but he's the only one I can think of that does it. the Pirates are an interesting team. I was at the game during the Sunday game of the Red Sox series a couple of weeks ago. And look, on paper, the Pirates put out a better lineup than the Red Sox. Because Devers in play, Casas is out, Story's out. I looked at the Pirate lineup, it was better, and they lost 6-1. What does getting this guy at least every 5 days in that rotation mean for the juice in the ballpark to get people excited about the team again?
Well, I certainly think he's going to be a drawing card for a while. I think, people didn't get to go see him Saturday will want to come out the next time he pitches if they can, or, people who did see him on Saturday would have been impressed enough to think, yeah, let's go see him pitch again. So I think he's definitely going to be a drawing card, no doubt. And, I think, and especially now, school's about to let out here in a few weeks. The weather's starting to get warmer. I think, I think that if he becomes half the pitcher that everybody thinks he can, those days or nights that he pitches should become pretty big events where people are going to make their way to the ballpark specifically to see him. So it's going to be fun to see exactly what happens. They almost sold out Saturday, and they didn't announce he was pitching until Wednesday, and the weather was horrendous in the morning and early afternoon on Saturday. So that hurt the walk-up crowd a little bit, and they just were about a little less than 1,000 short of a sellout. So, I would think he's going to be quite the drawing card.
Well, and the bottom line is, too, they did not officially bring him up until the 11th. They officially did not bring him up until Saturday, which means that they have ownership over him. He can't be a free agent until 2030. So the timing also was part of what they were trying to do with when he started, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, there have been blatant times where they've manipulated service time, and it's just been it makes you think they care more about that than winning. But I really think this time there was nothing nefarious about the way they did it.
John, I agree with you. Yeah. I'm just saying that in terms of telling people when he was going to pitch, they just waited till that day, and I think that's why they didn't get out so fast.
Yeah, I think so. And now that he's going to be on a regular schedule, every fifth or sixth day, I think they probably, when they can, will give him the extra day of rest. Trying to keep his innings limit, within reason this season, so they can have him pitch all the way through the end. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, for not knowing for sure he was coming up to a couple days before. And again, in like typical Pirates bad luck fashion, the day he pitches, it pours down rain all morning and into the afternoon Saturday. So a lot of people probably thought, we'll just go to the gate and get tickets. It's a miserable day. Let's just stay home. And and they still almost sold out. They were about 800, 900 short.
So I do have to ask you about how the Pirates felt about it. And when you look at their staff, it's not just what Shelton thought about it. But, let's go to Oscar Marin. What did he think of what he saw?
He was happy. They all were, the entire staff. I know that, some people thought he was going to come up and just dominate everybody like he did in the major leagues, in the minor leagues, I should say. But, he pitched well. He, like I said, he certainly showed why he's so highly regarded by striking out 7 guys. And it's against a pretty good Cubs team, a team that has a legitimate chance to win the National League Central. So, they didn't start him off with like the Rockies or one of the, Marlins or one of the lesser teams. They threw him into the fire against a pretty good big league team. And, they all felt he held his own, and they felt that he showed enough that they know that better days are ahead. And, really, even though the line doesn't look great, 3 runs in 4 innings, and if you just looked at the box score, you'd say, well, that was like pretty ordinary. But you could tell by watching this guy pitch that he's anything but ordinary. And if the bullpen wouldn't have melted down behind him, he probably only would have given up 1 or 2 runs instead of 3.
Well, look, the bottom line is this kid's a pitcher. He's not a thrower. I mean, that's what strikes me. He is a pitcher, not a thrower. There's a big difference. And look, they could have started him against the White Sox, and he could have walked off the mound and said, geez, Toledo's better.
Yeah, because, I mean, the perfect team that if you go back to 2010 when Steven Strasburg made his debut and that was probably the last really big debut in the big leagues until Skenes. And I covered that game in Washington, and and the Pirates were awful that year. They lost 105 games, and he struck out 14 in 7 innings. And I think he raised the bar so high for expectations of all these other hot young prospects that come up, but. I remember thinking that night I wanted to say something to him and go, hey, it's not going to be this easy every week. There's there's legitimate big league hitters and most of the other lineups you're going to face.
John, absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for the insight and all the insight that you gave us as to what happened with it. Thanks so much.
Oh, my pleasure, Steve. Anytime. Thanks for having me on.
The outstanding John Perrotto. Great to have him on the show today.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory-trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
Spring has sprung, and it's time to dust off those insurance policies. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855 or visit our website at purdyinsurance.com to see what we can do for you.